What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are doing the 42nd installment of Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing my Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Delta Airlines Boeing 767-400ER in the Ron Allen livery. We've got a retro livery on a new modern aircraft. That is how we like to roll here on the series sometimes. The livery is retro, but the aircraft is new. They'll still get a feature on this series. So as you can tell by the pin, this is another model that I acquired from an Airliners International convention, this time coming from the Dallas show, which I have featured a couple models from that convention before, but I haven't featured the pins. The pins are still kind of new to the series, but it's a good way to tell where I got the model from if it was from an Airliners convention. But again, this one is from the DFW show in 2023, which was a very lovely show, and I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it. So go ahead and move the pin and the plane out of the way, and we'll bring in the box into view. So this is your standard Gemini Jets box for the time. No 25th anniversary insignia on it. I'm guessing they printed this box before 2023, so that's why it's not on there. Made for collectors by collectors. Image of the plane, aircraft type, and we have the Delta logo, the current one at that, little SkyTeam logo, 1:400 scale die-cast model aircraft. There's the inside with the plastic cradle, which has some reverse indentations there right at the corners, right where the wingtips are at for the rate wingtips. Since this is a new mold from Gemini, or was when this was announced. There's the pamphlet, so you can pause to read. And then the bottom of the box, which has your standard Gemini Jets advertising. Then we have the Gemini logo, 1:400 scale die-cast model. Item number is GJDAL2151. Then we have the image of the plane and the aircraft type. Top side, which has the adult collectible model warning, and then the right side, which has a price tag. I got this from the Texan Airplane store, which at the time it was priced at $47.96. I think now they're like $51.16 or something like that. They had a price increase this past spring, so I think they're over $50 now. But really good that I got this for under $50 back when that was the standard retail price for these aircraft. Then we have the back of the box, which is the standard Gemini details. We have the Boeing license disclaimer and the Delta license disclaimer. So now let's bring the model into view. Now the JC Gemini 764 mold gets quite a bit of flack from collectors because it's not good. Like it doesn't compare to the other offerings in the industry, which only popped up because we had Gemini release a 764, which I do find a little suspicious, but what are you going to do? And yeah, that's one of the issues with the JC764 mold is that it does not sit properly. The main landing gear is a little too tall, and the nose gear is not long enough to accommodate that, and thus you have this interesting scenario where if you place the model on a particular surface like this, then it's not going to sit properly and will sit elevated like that. But it does not tip over, which is at least the good thing. That's the silver lining that I can take out of it. And then as for the issues as a whole that people always go after for whenever Gemini uses this mold for any release, it's not bothersome for me. I can live with these problems because, I mean, no one yet has done a Ron Allen 764 in this recent wave of the current manufacturers that have it. So you're looking at NG and Panda as well that have also announced 764 molds. They haven't done any of them yet, and the previous offerings by Herpa and Dragon Wings are extremely hard to find, so there's been a lot of demand for the 764 and 400 scale, and Gemini took advantage of it for the 25th anniversary for their celebrations that year, so that is why they made the mold, and then other manufacturers, of course, had to follow since they wanted a slice of that pie as well. And obviously collectors have chosen the ones that are a little better in quality because the JC obviously has some issues with it, but for me personally, I can live with these issues. It's not a deal breaker for me. I'm way more lenient than most collectors, as most of you may know, when it comes to problems with models, because just from my perspective, when you look at stuff like this, I don't want to wait a long time for someone else to do this exact delivery because nobody else has announced it yet, at least at the time that I'm recording this video. This is currently being recorded in late August, and so far no one but Gemini has done the 764 Ron Allen, at least outside of Herpa and Dragon Wings, because I know one of them for sure, I think, yeah, both of them even have done this exact delivery before on their molds, which some consider to be a little better than this, but I kind of disagree with that because the Dragon Wings landing gear is not that great, and the Herpa, I haven't seen too many photos of it to make a proper assessment on it, but I'd have to get one in order to do that. But anywho, enough of the 764 mold rambling session out of the way. I just wanted to get that out there just so people know my stance on that. But there we go. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting off at the front, we have the nose cone and the cockpit windows. We've got a little SkyTeam logo just ahead of the L1 door right there. Nose gear door, which has a little fleet code printed on there. I think that says 1602. Then we have the nose gear, of course. And then move the aircraft a little further back. We've got the Ron Allen titles for the time with the full Delta Airlines spelling and the lovely Ron Allen cheap line, which is a nice purplish color. One antenna up there on the top, and you can see the polish coming into view, which looks really good. And then no overwing exits on here. This has 4 doors on each side of the aircraft, so 8 in total. L3 door right there, and then the L4 door right there with another antenna up on the top. American flag and the registration of November 826 Mike Hotel. And then we have the very lovely Delta Ron Allen tail for the time, which also has a fleet code up on the top. As I say 1602, it's supposed to be 1802 there. My apologies on that. The nose gear text is really tiny, even through the viewfinder on my camera, so kind of hard to see. Now look at the right side of the aircraft, and now you can see it is sitting properly since it's not, the paper that I have here is not exactly flat, so that's why it does that. Nothing much different on this side, but we do have a luggage door right there. And then there's another one on the back. I feel like this model has a little bit of like tarnish on it. I don't know for sure. But I've had this model for a year already, so I don't know. It's hard to say for sure, but what can you do with it? I can live with it. And there's the Delta tail once again. And again, the model does that position once more. Flip it underneath, we've got the full polish under here, Gemini Jets logo, stand hole, and other applicable details on there. They did a really good job molding these. It looks really cool, the air intakes right there. So try to get that into view if the camera will focus on it. I think right about there is pretty good. But yeah, they did mold these on there, which is a really good detail that Gemini got. And he got the underneath beacon on there. That's really cool. I just noticed that right as I was about to flip over the model. And then there's one up on the top as well, along with various details printed on top. And yeah, another, not necessarily like a QC thing that I noticed, but one of the horizontal stabilizers, it was loose on it. It has not fallen out in the time that I have owned this model, which is the good thing. So I'm not going to remove it and re-glue it because that would probably damage the model. And this aircraft is kind of impossible to find now because everybody was all over it, despite the discrepancies with this mold, because there are some collectors like me who don't really care about it, and you know, if it sells well, I think that's all that Gemini really cares about. Because they probably, not they specifically, but JC, they spent quite a lot of time making this mold, and Gemini wanted to use it as well because they have that partnership, so it's not really worth it for them to go back and redo it at this point in time, and especially if there are other better alternatives out there for those that are a little more keen-eyed to detail and the quality of the build and all that. There are other options out there, so I know why people go that route, but I always like to provide my stance on this stuff just to kind of balance out the playing field a little bit. And that is everything that I have with the model. So now we'll take a look at the real-life aircraft's brief history so far. This aircraft first flew on November 11th of 1999, and for some reason it took over a year for this aircraft to be delivered. I don't know why. I guess maybe they're doing a lot of flight testing or something. But it was delivered to Delta in November of 2000, and it was the 9th 764 to be delivered to Delta. And so far it's worn all the liveries represented so far, so the Ron Allen, which is what's on this model, Delta Flot, and then the current livery. And as you'd expect, since this is 764, this aircraft is still active with Delta, and I can actually check to see what it's doing as I'm recording this video. So pull it up on Flight Radar. Right now it's flying from London Heathrow to JFK. And that'll do it for this episode of Retro Reviews. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.